Good evening. Thanks for joining us here for Get Into It with Taz and Chris. Okay, it only took me 2 years to get this right.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay. Whew. Got a lot to get into tonight. Let's start with the top of the morning. So we pretty much started the day off with an oversight hearing, or as it's been touted all over the news, a judiciary hearing that involved quite a few hours of testimony from I can't even call it testimony. It was a lot of showboating by the GOP towards Merrick Garland. So, in opening statements, Merrick Garland did contend that he is not the president's attorney. Jim Jordan opened with a lot of GOP misinformation and talking points regarding the Mar-a-Lago raid. And he claimed that Catholics were under attack. And he said this was due to comments made about tyrannical pro-life Catholics outside of abortion clinics.
Wow.
Then he moved on to opening statements by Representative Nader, who said, rightfully so, that the GOP is wasting tax dollars on distractions instead of doing actual work. Merrick Garland came back stating what the Department of Justice actually does as far as child exploitation justice, drug trafficking, crackdown, civil rights protections, and to uphold the rule of law regardless of party, money, race, or political affiliation. He also stated that the DOJ works for the people and not Congress or the president. And he did remind people that the Department of Justice was created in the wake of the Civil War to combat rampant injustice.
How about that? Yeah. So
that ain't all, y'all. Okay, just to let you know, just for this hearing, there's 3 pages of notes. So get comfortable.
Yeah.
I tried to follow as closely as possible. Also linked in the description of this video is about 15 minutes of highlights also from the hearing today, because
there will be no highlights of Bober. Thank you.
Yeah. By the time I finally took a break to grab something to eat, we were 4 hours in to this. And this was me working side by side and getting notes.
Yeah.
Okay. And we had Representative Mike Johnson, who accidentally started off by calling Garland Mr. Weiss, and Weiss is the special counsel in charge of the whole Hunter Biden investigation. I don't know how many people caught that, but I caught it because I was like, did he just call him this? Okay. Representative Johnson also claimed that the majority of the United States believe that the Department of Justice is politicized. Since when? And he continued to ask. Yeah, and he continued to ask questions about current investigations that cannot be answered at the moment because they're current investigations. And he had to consistently be reminded that Trump originally appointed Weiss to investigate Hunter Biden.
I mean, it's
the amount of times that people had to be, the amount of times that people had to be reminded that Trump did appoint a lot of these people that are now special counsels and the reason why they became special counsels to certain investigations is because they've been doing these investigations for years. The people who are complaining about it taking so long, y'all agreed to the appointment way back when Trump was in office. So if it's taken too long, that means there's nothing to be found. But I digress. So throughout the hearings, Garland was consistently asked about Weiss's investigation into Hunter, which Garland cannot interfere. He cannot ask questions to Weiss or anybody else about their ongoing investigations. He has to wait until official reports are filed, and then he kind of finds out like right before the rest of us. If he were to interfere, that would be a problem. He was questioned. Y'all not gonna believe this. Y'all not gonna believe this, but I'm glad everything is online. And like I said, the highlights, it's 15 minutes worth of them, linked to the description of this video. They questioned Merrick Garland as to why the statutes of limitations were allowed to expire on certain crimes regarding Hunter Biden. Now, mind you, the statute of limitations regarding the gun charges is what they're talking about, does not expire until next month. And keep in mind, the current charges against Hunter Biden, he was already charged with, hence them having a signed plea agreement on file right now. Hence the whole diversion thing.
Right.
But they legitimately said, why'd you let the statute of limitations expire?
It's a show. I mean, if there wasn't any more wasted time or a show of just pure nonsense, I mean, we need to keep the government from shutting down. We need to do things that are actually like meaningful.
We're getting to that.
Garland is far from Barr when it comes to. I mean, even on the left, we're like, Garland's been pretty slow. So if you're going after someone, you're going after the wrong man when it comes to Garland.
And then they asked why Garland hasn't interfered in the investigation with Hunter Biden. So they're saying that the Department of Justice is weaponized against Trump, but they're upset because there's no interference, and they're allowing the Department of Justice to not just eliminate statutes of limitation. And then they asked why Garland didn't investigate Weiss. They wanted Garland to investigate Weiss regarding what Weiss has been investigating. That would. And then we had to have a representative come on and remind people of the whole Iran-Contra affair when congressional interference caused a special prosecutor to shield Ollie North unfairly from proper prosecution.
Right. Yeah.
Then Jordan was called out. Now, this was a good part, y'all. Jim Jordan was called out for not allowing Garland to be permitted to properly or even answer questions. Then Garland was asked about not prosecuting Matt Gaetz. And Garland said he can't comment on DOJ investigations.
So we know what that means.
Yeah, he didn't say previous investigations. He just said Department of Investigation. And that whole
quote, didn't want to use the word ongoing because ongoing would have meant a whole lot, but he basically said it anyways.
Yes. And then Representative McClintock asserted that appointments regarding special counsels were politically motivated. But here's the thing. Weiss is a registered Republican appointed by a Republican, Trump, and Jack Smith is not registered to any political party whatsoever.
Right.
And Jack Smith has a long-standing history of he doesn't care. If you break the law, he's coming after you. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
And then Representative Swalwell, also included in the 15-minute highlights attached to this, called MAGA Insurrection LLP, whose sole purpose is to defend/protect Trump no matter what. And had to remind people of two Trump appointees that are currently special counsel. That's Weiss and Durham. Everybody keeps forgetting about Durham, but Durham really isn't making any waves. Then Representative Massey came on and spewed more lies regarding Mr. Ray Epps, who we know was indicted and brought up on charges for his involvement in January 6th. And Mr. Epps also infamously sued Fox for Tucker Carlson claiming that he was an FBI plant and worked for the FBI. As this hearing was going on, Mr. Epps was in court pleading guilty to disorderly conduct and admitting his role regarding January 6th. Now, part of the reason why so much conspiracy surrounds Mr. Epps is because he was once on the FBI website, then he was taken down. With January 6th, I need people to realize there are a lot of people, just regular people like all of us, that are like, hey, I saw this footage. I believe that's my uncle. I believe that's my neighbor. I believe that's my coworker. Right. So they're putting the pictures up on the FBI website to get confirmation from people. Like, is this correct information? Once those people are brought in and investigated, their information comes down. And Ray Epps got a little bit of consideration because unlike other insurrectionists, he was trying to de-escalate things. He was protecting people from attacking the police. So they did take that into consideration. I'm not defending any insurrectionists, but I got to be fair. I did look at the footage. You all can look it up yourself as well. He did put his body on the line. He was like, okay, I was here, to support Trump, but I'm not here to physically harm anyone, and I don't want anyone to be physically harmed. So that does go a long way. Yeah. It does pain me to have to defend traitors, but disinformation is disinformation. And if I'm going to say I don't stand for disinformation.
When you're looking at those that were there, by all means necessary to get a job done, compared to those that are just, hey, I want to just come here and be loud and whatever. I mean, there's a difference when it comes to overall prosecution, when it comes to, okay, we're going to take things into consideration. So, yeah, I mean, nobody really likes the fact that they even got through the barricades to get on the property. But the fact that you had some that were taking police shields and breaking windows, and you had people using the flagpoles. And, yeah, you had some really bad players with, bear mace. And so, yeah, there was a difference of levels of, extremism. Normally you don't show up, if you would have had, let's say, any other rally going on that was not MAGA, and they were showing up in tactical gear, you would think, that's not normal protesting attire. But yeah, you knew that some of these bad players were part of certain militia groups, certain right-wing groups.
And you knew that it was premeditated because all the people that previously were saying, oh, we were just going to hear Trump speak. Why did you have bear spray? Why did you have you had a whole guillotine ready to go. You had a Kevlar vest on. And the thing about Ray Epps, and I know some people are like, oh, it took so long, the timing is bad. Y'all have to remember, he's been cooperating. He hasn't been hiding, unlike other people. And his cooperation has led to other convictions. And that happens a lot of times. Yeah. And he's already going through litigation, like I said, with Fox. And his investigation was prolonged because of all the lies coming out. Because you have to remember, every time these Magadonians lie, they're like, oh, there's a whistleblower, there's proof. So it has to be investigated. They are prolonging it themselves so that they can go, oh, the DOJ is weaponized against us. No, they're not. You're intentionally throwing wrenches into these investigations.
Yeah, I mean, you see, just like we saw with January 6 hearings, we saw that there are individuals out there that have gone through an awakening, or as we know, a MAGA detox, and their kind of eyes opened up where their eyes are sealed forever. But there's some people's eyes have actually opened up to see that this man lied, he conned, he grifted, and yeah, we're hoping there was more of that. But the fact that they're willing to not just wake up out of the fruit punch, but actually help assist in any way they can to, hey, yeah, this was wrong. I do see it now. This was wrong and criminal and all this. And so, yeah, any help they can get, that's great. But unfortunately, it wasn't a lot. But yeah, there is some detoxing that was involved.
Yeah, before we go on to the next point, from the comments, you don't have to have grace or patience for them. All I'm saying is just look at all of the information for what it is.
Yeah.
Don't buy into the Kool-Aid that the GOP is trying to feed you, because the GOP is banking on people not knowing how processes work.
Yeah.
And if they can get everybody on all sides riled up by a handful of conspiracy theories and start questioning stuff, that red wave that they've been looking for will accidentally happen. This is how Trump and Gates and DeSantis and Boebert and Green got into office. Think about the elections that occurred when they got elected. Everybody was like, is this true? Is that true? Oh, I believe that. Oh, I believe that. Oh, yeah, that makes it. No, it doesn't. So that's what I'm not saying grace for him. I got to be fair in bringing any information. I cannot, in good faith, condemn people all over the internet that give a half a story.
Yeah.
And then I come on and give a half a story. Whether I like it or not, I got to tell all sides.
Yeah, and there's media that were big time players. We know that. So they were surrounded, and they still are. They're surrounded by that continual isolationist of, we're gonna ban and burn books, and we're gonna feed you with our media that we're gonna tell you who to listen to for information. They don't care about misinformation because they're not looking up the facts. They're only looking at the source that's telling them and saying, that's what I'm going to believe. I don't care if you stand here and tell me things and tell me there's evidence or proof. There's some people that don't care because they believe their source. They're that far in, they're that deep in. That's part of that cult mentality, is when you're in, you're deep in. Like, this is where you've sworn, you've given your blood oath, and there's no waking up certain individuals. So their red wave is a red wave of fruit punch.
Yeah, you don't pay attention. Now, Matt Gaetz, he asked about people buying Hunter Biden's artwork. And he was like, this is a quote, isn't it odd that people are interested in the president's son's artwork? No, it happens all the time.
Isn't it odd people would be interested in Don's mugshots on t-shirts?
And here's the thing. The art world is so subjective. Like art, the price tag they put on art is contingent upon a handful of people and whether or not they are willing to collect it.
Yeah.
That's really it. Yeah. That is really it. Unless you are dead and the pictures have been around for 60 years, it really comes down to, I really don't know what the fuck this means, but the house of Hilton likes it. So $1 million. That's watch any documentary on the art world. This is why artists have such a hard time, and you have so many starving artists because they could be incredibly talented. But no, it's not unusual that somebody's like, oh, Hunter Biden does art. Like, this is a Congress that allowed for his penis pics to be put into emails and displayed on the congressional floor. Like, Matt Gaetz needs to be so fucking for real. But this hearing overall appears to be setting up for the impeachment hearing on the 28th. And here's the thing, afterwards, James Comer said, yeah, we're calling for the financial records of Hunter and James Biden. Keep in mind, Hunter and James Biden, not Joe Biden. When asked, well, why not Joe Biden? oh, we don't have any evidence linking Joe Biden to anything.
Yeah.
So we're just going to continue to waste money on an impeachment hearing, and we don't have a budget. But we're going to get to the budget thing in a minute. Now, the hottest topics that were brought up the most regarding this hearing were Hunter's gun charge and why why Merrick Garland wasn't interfering with that. The fact that there are no connections to Joe Biden being treasonous or breaching his oath of office. So they kept bringing up Burisma in China. Then here came Representative Biggs, who was just being completely condescending and disrespectful while also not knowing what he was talking about. You know, typical Republican. Then Representative Dean came in and pointed out the looming shutdown and the dangers of lies and distraction and disinformation. Then Representative Tiffany came out and claimed that the Minneapolis investigation by the Department of Justice into the police department resulted in fewer police officers and increased crime, which is a lie. He insinuated that a local prosecutor's decision to be light on crime was the fault of the Department of Justice and resulted in the death of a cop. He consistently was asking about decisions made by state and local prosecutors, DAs, things like that. Things that Merrick Garland cannot interfere with. Merrick Garland cannot go in and just say, hey, randomly, I want to see what's going on in your office and how you're handling things. Oh, I don't like that. This is how you're going to do it. No, that would be overreach. That would be weaponizing the Department of Justice.
That would be the last administration.
Yeah. And then Representative Tiffany utilized lies about the borders and implied that the Department of Justice can force state and local authorities to take action, which is false. And he also claimed, excuse me, that there were no real border issues until after January of 2021.
Really? Whoa.
Yep.
Wow. This is something brand new.
Yeah. Then we moved on to Representative Buck, who reminded that it was Merrick Garland who prosecuted and requested the death penalty for Timothy McVeigh, even though Garland, who is longstandingly known to be a Democrat, went against party lines and everything else to do what was right, because anybody that was old enough to know about the Timothy McVeigh trial, Timothy McVeigh had zero remorse and kept insinuating that if given the opportunity, he would do it again.
Yeah. He had joined those militias that we talk about that were
again, and he would teach people how to do it. So this was not a he can stick around. We would have had a series of vomit. And Representative Buck brought up the hypocrisy and contradictions of the GOP regarding no interference in investigations, because they're claiming that there's interference when it comes to Trump indictments, but not anything else. But nobody has any communication between Merrick Garland, the Department of Justice, and any of the investigators regarding any of the 91 indictments against Trump.
Yeah.
Then Representative Bush pointed out the disproportionate justice system, the arrest rates, incarceration rates, and the conditions, which was really good. And that is also in the 15-minute recap. I'm not going to really go into that here because she went into a great deal of detail, and Merrick Garland did agree to have his office work with her office to work on that. So you all can check that out. And then Representative Escobar asked about what the Department of Justice can and will be doing about Governor Abbott and what he's doing to immigrants. And once again, they said that they would start working together regarding that. And Merrick Garland went into what the Department of Justice has already done, which everybody is caught up on. And then Representative Moore contends that the Department of Justice looks to increase their approval ratings through the Trump investigations, but then touted that Trump's approval ratings and polling numbers go up every time he's investigated. So I am confusion regarding that.
Yeah, and then we see what happens in the ballot box. So we should dive into that razor wire for those pro-lifers.
Yes, and speaking of election news. All of the special elections, and there were 2 that were held last night, the results are showing that voters are rejecting across the board the MAGA extremism, regardless of the district size. So,
right. So we had the one in Pennsylvania. We had one up in New Hampshire, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, and there was quite a.
Yeah. It was announced at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Federal Reserve has decided to pause interest rate hikes. And depending on what purchases or what you need, that may not be the bestest thing. Boy, would you get down?
I told you, every time we have a show, he feels he needs to.
Yes, you now feel like
wake up and jump in.
Here, now go sit down somewhere. Here, sit down. You supposed to be injured. You supposed to be on injured reserve. You done laid around all day like you were flying.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the United Nations General Assembly, Zelensky criticized the Security Council because Russia currently has a representative on the Security Council, which means that Russia currently has a veto when it comes to the Russian-Ukrainian war. And Zelensky did come to the table with a plan to end the war and to reform the General Assembly. Now, of course, all the details regarding that, they're not going to spill the beans to us. There's a lot of speculation out there, but I don't really want to do speculation. Hunter Biden, regarding the gun case, Hunter Biden has requested to appear virtually because the case, if you all remember, is taking place in Delaware and he lives in California. So the judge is mulling that over, and that was a contentious point during today's hearings because they're like, he's getting special treatment. How many times has Trump been allowed to appear virtually? That's standard.
Right. Yeah. How about the special treatment of the way they allow him to come in, come out, go home, do what he wants, do this and that. Whereas anyone on the left, they would have been like, why are they getting to tour the country? And this is political. And why are they doing this? And I mean, like I said, everything that they're countering is exactly what they do. Like everything they're calling out the left for, they've done and are doing. Like you're barking up the wrong tree.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're out on one of Trump's golf course looking for the dead. I mean, you're going to come stumble across one of them.
Now, real quick, I got some strike updates for you all. Let's start with the UAW strike. Ford has decided to lay off indefinitely striking workers. GM says that later this week it will idle a plant, which will affect thousands of workers. And today, Stellantis made a new offer, but no details have been made public. And if no deal is made by Friday, they will expand the strike to other facilities. And the CEO of General Motors decided that it would be a great idea to write an antagonistic op-ed that's full of bullshit instead of going to the negotiating table.
Yeah.
Yay. And then regarding the writer's strike, the WGA, it's been reported that those at the table are cautiously optimistic. And just to remind people, the demands of the WGA are a minimum pay increase, standard residuals, regardless of theatric or streaming release, viewership-based residuals for streaming, a minimum of 6 writers per show based on episodes, and a minimum of 10 weeks of employment for writers. They want to regulate the use of artificial intelligence, basically meaning that if a writer or collection of writers writes a script, nobody can just take that script, use AI, and go off and make a movie. And they want them to increase the contributions to pensions and the health plan. Now, on to the juiciness of today. Yeah, y'all thought that was the juicy part of the day. It's not. It is so.
Amber Heard news? Oh.
No, not that juicy. Okay, now regarding the looming government shutdown, it's just 5 GOP members that are blocking forward motion. McCarthy is threatening to have the House work through the weekend. And keep in mind, the shutdown, to avoid a shutdown, the deadline is September 30th. The infighting within the uber conservative GOP, which I don't know why they keep calling themselves uber conservative, because all of them is a bunch of whores. But anywho, is the primary issue at the moment. They can't even come to a compromise on the military, and we know that the military is their favorite shield and their favorite way of getting votes. But we did have somewhat of a forward motion today. We know that Tuberville has been blocking promotions within the military. So Chuck Schumer decided to move to vote on the top 3 military promotions that have been held up by Tuberville. And those are the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the commandant of the Marine Corps, and the Army Chief of Staff. Now, this move does go against what Democrats want, because this could lead to conducting individual votes for promotions, and that could take months because there's hundreds of promotions that are being held up. Now, Tuberville said that he will not object to this, and confirmation of this could happen later this week. But the concern is this may create a precedent that the GOP could exploit, especially since Tuberville is like, oh, I won't object to this. So why not let everybody else get their
right? Yeah, because he calls it the woke military or something.
Yeah, and if a government shutdown would happen, keep in mind, all these congressmen and women that are battling back and forth, they will continue to get paid. Keep that in mind. But in the event of a government shutdown, hundreds of thousands of federal employees will have to stop working and will not get paid. Air traffic control and TSA workers will be required to work, but with no pay. Social Security and Medicaid verifications will cease, as well as the distribution of cards. So if you need an updated card or you're getting your card for the first time, nope. And 400 plus federal parks will be closed. So all of the commerce that's surrounding that.
Imagine the airports with employees in the security areas being told to work for free.
Yeah,
imagine that.
I'm not flying. And after a month, SNAP benefits will run out of money. And there will be no passage of defense spending, as we have North Korea, Russia, and China looming with issues with us. So, yeah. Right. Now, keep in mind, a year's worth of funding must be agreed upon by the 30th and passed through both the House and the Senate by the 30th. And the GOP and the Senate are more aligned with Democrats. It's the House GOP and just 5 of them that are acting as if they are the entirety of the government. The Democrats in the House are willing to save McCarthy from being unseated if he will actually work for the people. And the GOP is tossing around a plausible replacement for him in Jim Jordan. And just to add insult to injury, goofy ass Matt Gaetz says that if McCarthy works with Democrats, that Matt Gaetz, will work to remove McCarthy as Speaker of the House. Matt Gaetz has forgotten that the Senate is predominantly Democrat and the President of the United States is a Democrat. There are Democrats within the House. If you don't work bipartisan, you're not getting anything done. Like these 5 idiots on the GOP in the House. Keep in mind, this is not throughout Congress. This is in the House of Representatives, are acting as if they are the czars of Capitol Hill.
Yeah, at least 5.
They all ridiculous. But in a story of, y'all knew this was about to happen. Coming out of Fulton County, Linwood may be an authentication witness, but it is proven that it's been confirmed that he has flipped on Trump, although he said he didn't flip because he claims he doesn't have information.
That's the safe answer.
Yeah. But remember, he is the prominent right-wing attorney. He was not a part of the official campaign legal team, but filed several lawsuits on behalf of Trump. And he is the one that kept inviting top conspiracy theorists regarding the 2020 election to his South Carolina plantations. Yes, I said plantations. And yes, I said it plural.
I'm sure he knew Lindsey Graham and the Graham plantation.
And most notably, the people who were invited the most were Sidney Powell, Mike Flynn, Patrick Byrne, who is the CEO of Overstock, and Doug Logan, the Cyber Ninja CEO. And Lynn Wood was also, along with Sidney Powell, named on a lawsuit in Michigan where a judge subsequently sanctioned the both of them due to abuse of the judicial process.
Mm-hmm.
And Lynn Wood was also on the list for consideration for indictment in Fulton County. He is most often described as a shadow player. And also keep in mind, just earlier this year, Lynn Wood lost his ability to practice law because of all the BS lies that he was spouting for Trump and how many rallies of Trump's that he was going to and pushing forth the big lie.
Right.
Also coming out of Fulton County, the following, just to update y'all on who's trying to get their cases moved to federal court. Now, we already know Mark Meadows, who's appealed it, but he's been denied. And then you have the fake electors, David Schaefer, Jeffrey Clark, Sean Steele, and Kathy Latham. Now, they're trying to get their case moved to federal court because they're saying that they were acting in a federal capacity. But this is why I say the GOP and everybody is trying to play you. First of all, these are attorneys who know the law and understand the difference between city, county, state, federal, etc. Electors are appointed and assigned on the state level. When you are an actual elector, your job is on the state level, not the federal level, and these were fake electors. So at no point could they have thought that they were working on a federal level, especially since all of their meetings were on local levels.
But then again, they go to the school of Boebert logic, you know.
They'll fill them up on the first date. Now, the juicy story of the day from the vault of, we all saw this coming. Wait a minute, that's a bad choice of words given what this story is. My apologies, y'all, but we don't have a blooper reel because this is not edited, so I just got to roll with it. Cassidy Hutchinson, the woman who gave the blockbuster bombshell testimony during January 6th after she let go of her Trump paid for attorney and actually got proper protection, has a new book coming out. And next Monday, there will not be a show because you all need to see Rachel Maddow's first live interview with Cassidy Hutchinson for yourself in detail. In her upcoming book, Cassidy Hutchinson alleges that Rudy Giuliani groped her on January 6th in the midst of the insurrection. She is not the first with such allegations. And let's not forget the footage that came out of Rudy Giuliani, the movie footage when he was in the Borat film. Giuliani has a history of calling the wives of friends inappropriately, like calling them on the phone, getting inappropriate. Giuliani gave a statement this afternoon through his political advisor, Ted Goodman. It reads, and I quote, "It's fair to ask Cassidy Hutchinson why she is just now coming out with these allegations for 2.5 years ago as part of the marketing campaign for her upcoming book release." This is the same excuse he had regarding the former assistant that he groped that's currently suing him and has all sorts of evidence.
Right.
But here is the pièce de résistance. This groping incident was allegedly witnessed by John Eastman, and John Eastman kind of gave a smirk as it was going on. And this groping, it was under the clothes. Like, your boy was bold with it. He went, as an insurrection is going on, he was like, yeah, we might go to prison.
They were like, hey, wasn't that a good speech? Hey, how about I get a few?
Let me get a little, like, what the?
Yeah. Yeah, Rudy, whether he was drinking or not, that. I mean, the denial factor is everything that we heard during the Me Too movement. Why are they all coming out now? Why are they all coming out late? Why are they all coming out 5 years later? What? I'm sure it's not easy, number one, to speak up, period. So a timeline of when to speak up, and in this case, came out in a book. Books, just like certain situations, are therapy sessions for some individuals. Now, do we know, are we inside of her head as to why? Maybe we'll find out a little more with Rachel. I don't know, but I can't put it on anyone that was a victim of something like that to tell them how quick they need to come out with something. Obviously, anyone within that environment knows that coming forward is a risk to their life because of the way that people are bullied, harassed, not just them, but family and loved ones. I mean, it's a whole environment. So, yes, it is a deterrent to come out. It's enough when she came out for Jan 6 that all the stuff that came down on her, besides the fact that she was, allegedly contacted and told, hey,
Yeah, because they went from, oh, she's brilliant to she's in her 20s. What does she know?
yeah. Oh, we barely worked with her. She was down the hall doing something. Yeah.
Then it came out like, no, she was in the SUV. No, she was in the office at this time. No,
Yeah.
Trump was
She was
taking her
there.
everywhere.
She was there. She was in the middle. She wasn't, a cafeteria worker. She was right there in the middle of things.
And they're forgetting who all was around. But also on the Giuliani front, he is being sued by former attorneys because he owes approximately because there's so many attorneys, and I was trying to, in between the stuff, like do the math, and I was like, okay, I get through completely through one filing and then refresh, and there's another attorney filing against him. So this is an approximate, people. This is an approximate $1.4 million.
Yeah.
He owes $1.4 million in legal fees. And that fundraiser dinner that Trump did for him turned out to be less of a dinner and more of an online telethon that was poorly orchestrated. It was basically just sticking people in front of the camera and begging for money because he's still touting himself as Mayor Giuliani as if he saved New York City during 9/11. Bruh, I'm 46. I remember what you did. Nothing. You took a lot of pictures. You walked around a lot, and people just patted you on the back because you happened to be mayor of New York City at the time. You didn't do shit.
Well, he didn't stop anything on 9/12 and beyond because all the Muslims in New York City were harassed, beaten, spit on. There was a big fallout aside from all those that say, we were all united. You were not all united because there was one specific area that was targeted and not treated well in their innocence. So, yeah, it was not all fun and games.
From the comments, Cassidy's never profited from her silence. Cassidy's been targeted. Okay. Before the January 6th committee, Trump and his super PAC were willing to pay for Cassidy's attorney if she lied under oath. Basically, if she tanked her entire career for the sake of Trump. And they were strong arming her, and it came out in January 6th. She switched off attorneys and fought. And ever since then, she's been doxxed, she's been threatened. She has not profited from silence. She hasn't been silent. It's just that after January 6th, and she gave all the testimony and she stood up for herself, there really wasn't much else to say. At this point, she's telling her story because through a book is the only way she's going to get her story out.
Yeah.
That's the only way she's going to get her story out.
She has a right. She has a right to that.
Yeah, and they've ostracized her so badly. She may never work in the field that she is in debt.
Right.
She has student loan debt for.
Right.
Her dream was to be in politics, and what they've done to her, she has no other choice. But also, one person who decided to stick out and one person who did profit from being silent until she could no longer be silent, until the indictments came down in Fulton County, is Jenna Ellis, whose current crowdsourcing has raised her a bolstering amount of money that can pay for 2 days of her defense. And I mean 2 days of the defense. She now says that she is not voting for Trump. Well, you shouldn't have voted for him in the first place, you dimwit. And she calls Trump a narcissist. And I'm like, you just now figured that shit out? Because remember, Trump promised to pay for all of these people's legal fees, but you can tell who he believes he has control over, who he doesn't. Cassidy Hutchinson is more of a wild card because yes, at the time she was 24. She was 24. She's still at that range where she wasn't fully moved out of her parents' house. She doesn't have a whole family to pay for. Jenna Ellis does. Right. Jenna Ellis has a whole family to pay for. Jenna Ellis got other stuff to pay for, and she's like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
And Trump thought that, oh, if he held stuff over her head, she would just be quiet and toe the line. Jenna Ellis is looking around and looking at sentences that are coming down regarding January 6th. And let's not forget, Navarro just got indicted, and he's going down. He's trying to appeal. Jenna Ellis is like, I can't be the next Tario. I don't want to watch my kids grow up through pictures and 5-minute FaceTimes from prison.
Yeah. Peter Navarro was on Ari today. And yeah, when asked about whether he thinks that Jack Smith could take him down, basically, or that I should say that Trump could beat the case. Even he was like, no. There's if you get somebody that's going off of Trump's promises, let's see. Trump's promises have been worth, let's see how much over the years. Air, zero. There's a lot that people invest in, and I would say a good portion of the money that's being paid out, whether you're silencing somebody or you're trying to pay off some current lawyers or whatever, that's coming out of those MAGA supporters, out of their bank accounts. So the grift is paying for a whole lot of what's going on, because it's been a long time since the fallout from all these Trump businesses and all that. So they got to count on the supporters to buy coffee mugs and T-shirts with his face on it. Just the other weekend, when I was driving around here, just north of town, going through another little small town, and on the side of the road there was a whole tent stand set up with the T-shirts and the mugs and all this. It's out there. I don't know how much they're turning around and saying, he needs this money, let me sell this stuff, and we got to fight the evil and send the money off to that's where the grift is going, even into your local towns.
And here's the thing, it's all over so many people are grifting off of Trump's name, because even on Truth Social, there are so many ads popping up. On Telegram, there are so many ads popping up for people that are like, oh, support Trump with this. And it's not affiliated with Trump at all. But these people know their fellow Trumpers aren't going to research anything. Just like last week when I brought everybody the story of the guy who makes the Trump or death banners, to the point where he's willfully gotten himself banned from every baseball stadium across the country.
Yeah.
He even admitted he's grifting people. He's creating outrage to make money. To make fellow Trump supporters feel like they're oppressed to make money.
And I'm surprised any of them have anything in their bank accounts. I mean, other than them working at the local Dollar General or something. I mean, I don't even know how they do it, because a lot of those bank accounts, once you've had them access it to take out, it keeps on coming out. If you don't get in there and do something, it'll keep on coming out. So they're going to funnel those bank accounts dry, and yet still encourage you to come to the march and come hear him speak. They only have money for an Uber. So the grift is real, and the fruit punch, they don't even have to make it as strong as they used to. Like, it's already like, hey, we don't even need to serve fruit punch, because they're in deep. They've already had to probably mortgage their home to help fight the fight. So it's hard to feel sorry, because there are ways to find facts. There are ways to question things. Does that make sense? Then there's ways that a lot of people are just, this has to do with internal issues, and they prey on people with internal issues, and they're very vulnerable. That's how cults find members.
And see,
Vulnerable
that's where
people
Trump's cult
who
is
don't
breaking down
form
now.
their own thoughts. They don't form their own thoughts. Their thoughts are formed for them.
And see, that's where Trump's cult is breaking down now. When you're a person who keeps preying on the young, preying on immigrants, preying on first generation people whose parents are immigrants,
Mm-hmm.
Trump has shown he's forgotten who's been in the room with him. Just like the IT guy from Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
Trump forgot how, like, you're asking people to do stuff. You're telling them, but you're forgetting who else is sitting in there because you've convinced yourself that these people aren't human, but at the same time, you want loyalty out of them.
Right.
And it's like, no.
Like, I actually have somebody in the room that can form their own thoughts. That's trouble. Because they might wake up one day and say, you know what? This is wrong. Like, I'm convinced this is wrong. I'm convinced something here is probably illegal. I need to go find other employment. I may need to report this to someone and then find a safe place to hide.
Because I'm sorry, for as long as I've worked in IT and as long as I've had an interest in IT, there is no damn way in hell I am going to spend decades working on servers and everything else, and you gonna tell a maintenance man to go flood my shit? Like, I know it doesn't belong to me. Like, because I work with a lot of servers that do not belong to me. They work. No. When I tell you immediately, hey FBI, check, put me through Jack Smith. Yep, I'm gonna need you to send somebody down here in 30 minutes because he's tripping. Which means he's trying to release all my shit. How am I supposed to put this on my resume when he goes to jail? Ain't gonna be no proof of my work. Come get him. And then to be one of the interns on January 6th, sitting in the SUV, you're supposed to be going back to the White House, you getting your notes together, like, okay, this is supposed to be a regular after speech briefing. And the president's fighting with the Secret Service because he wants to go and join a riot. I'm done. Let me out the car. You can't get out the car. When can I go home?
Yeah, but think about it. When she was in the SUV heading out of there, she had already been groped. So imagine gathering yourself after this old man, who's probably was half intoxicated at least, was putting his cold, clammy hands up your skirt. And then still having to go in an SUV and seeing a guy, like a toddler. I want to go. Take me. I'm the president. Take me. I mean, it's a circus.
And then they're like, don't tell nobody, bruh. And this is what's so mind-boggling to me regarding the congressmen who still want to stand behind the lie. If I have to run for my life because of your bullshit, fuck loyalty. Fuck Reagan's 11th Amendment. Fuck that. Okay? No, I'm telling immediately. I would have been on my phone texting everybody. Okay. I'd have been texting people's mamas. Your son is up here tripping on Capitol Hill. Go tell him to cut a switch and meet him out back. I will let you in. They trying to kill us. Send. Dear Mama Gates, please finally get your raggedy ass nasty son. He trying to get us killed up here.
Mama Gates,
I would have snitched on everybody.
He'd be like, why does this guy keep trying to
of everybody?
He'd be like, why does he idolize this? Who is this Epstein guy that he idolized? What are all these? It has to be under 21 stuff. What is that?
Oh no, Sabrina, she was loud. She left to go find Mark Meadows. John Eastman, like I said earlier, he noticed it. He looked. She was so loud that Eastman turned around and gave a smirk. Other people witnessed it. They saw it. That's why I said as soon as she could get out after they released the lockdown on the White House, because they do have to secure the people in the wings of the White House.
Remember how unhinged he was. I mean, we're not counting shot glasses, but remember, he's the one that was the whole trial by combat. We're talking about a Rudy that is Borat Rudy slash, this new version that his kids have come forward and be like, I don't even know who that man is. I mean, it's kind of like, who is this guy? And everyone's trying to think back to 9/11. People forget what he was like as a mayor. Like, he was not the savior of New York. Like, no, he was not the fan favorite. Now, did we have to get together and try and get ourselves out of this because a whole lot of, a diverse environment was affected by this? Absolutely. But Rudy was not the savior. Like, no, he sucked a lot of dust and wandered around. Like, yeah, he had a title, but did he do it by himself? No.
Oh.
No one man is going to save a city like New York City. It takes a team.
Mouth shut.
And he's supposed to be healing. Like, he's walking around like he's got an injured shin, like Joe. He just
he is milking being injured.
But Puppers, you are not Joey B. You do not have a shin injury.
He is milking this to the fullest because he knows I feel bad. It was just
but
everything just aligned wrong. Yeah. Like, soon as I opened the door, because like there's that little square. Yeah, that little square of linoleum, and I don't know why they put a little square of linoleum right by the front door. Yeah. He slid as soon as so he knows I feel bad.
Yeah.
So that's why he's eating all the bacon strips right now, looking up at me with
we'll give you some Reese's Cups.
I love him, but not that much. I'm not sharing my
Reese's. Or the fries. We'll share the fries.
No, we don't. I love him, but not that much.
Oh, sorry, Puppers. You just get to watch Joy.
I think he got some chicky nuggies left. He can have those.
There we go. Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't have to fight over the tiny humans for those.
I think he did it on purpose because they called before the game, and he ain't been the same since then.
Well, he is depressed about that too.
Yeah, he was mad because
I'm wondering why they took down the whole Welcome to the Jungle. There's no more Welcome to the Jungle. It's just like this whole new banner like around there, and I'm like, well, I thought this was the jungle, like with the whole weeds and stuff around the side. They like redesigned everything. Was that too old for them? Was it been up too long? What?
They just full of shit.
Was it no more jungle? Is there?
Oh, it's gonna be the jungle. They just full of shit.
I mean, are they saving their money to try and pay Chase now? What? I don't know. I mean, there's some budget cuts. Like, hey, we got some players to pay, and I don't know if we can pay Chase and T.
We know the Brown family is cheap.
I mean, okay, Joey B got his bag. Then we have the whole T and Chase. Okay, you actually need both. We know that because one is height, one is speed. They both are good at what they have. But then, like you said, they haven't always paid for what they got. They're used to watching somebody exit out the door. I don't think anyone would be fans of watching T go and play for the Ravens or somebody. You're definitely not going to see him up in Northern Ohio. So, yeah, I mean, you gotta find money. Like, restructure some deals to find money.
My thing is, I hope we don't have another situation like we had about 17 years ago where because of money situations, we legitimately kept swapping the same player back and forth with the Steelers. And I'm like, can y'all please stop? Can y'all please? And when I say swap and play, it wasn't even like, oh, this season, that season. No. Like every couple of weeks, like, please stop. Because we don't even know who to root for anymore when we see him.
Well, it was bad enough when you had to see Hoosh in a Seahawks uniform. So,
okay.
That's when I say that deals.
About Bruno.
Yeah.
We don't.
Yeah.
What's your final thoughts on today's show?
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Congrats to you and your notes. We keep the highlighter people in business.
And I do.
If you're out there, somebody waiting on the Cassidy book to come out, I'm not sure how well it will do. I'm sure there'll be some very interested eyes. So we'll see if that's on anyone's top seller list. But aside from that, I don't have much because work's been really busy for me, and it's been naps and sports. So that happens. But I do check in to see what the country's up to, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're on the same channel, because that's what we have.
My very, very random text messages where then I'm like, maybe I should give some context to him on what the hell I just sent.
Yeah, because I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna roll with it.
I
because
do.
That's how we are. We've been this way for many years.
Yeah, people think that I'm joking when I say I do get very excited. Like if something historic happens,
yeah,
I'm like, oh, I gotta share with Chris, and I'm like, I did not explain to him what this significance is. But he's always a good sport.
But sometimes I gotta bring you something that I know you might want to check out. You got a very busy schedule, but I'm like, if you need some comedic relief, go to Club Shay Shay, because now we have Shannon and Chad / Unc and Ocho.
Yeah.
So that just people, if you don't know Shannon and you don't know Chad, research it.
We love
because the two of them, Shannon trying to be the sound mind, Chad trying to be, well, Chad. There's no way to put it. Chad is Chad / Ocho. That's his other personality. So, But yeah, the dynamics of the two of them is worth to watch. They've been having multiple shows now, and they don't hold back. I mean, they don't hold back on each other. They don't hold back on certain subtopics. So if you're a sports person or not, and you just want to be entertained, check it out.
It's a really good show. They are very entertaining. They're not as cute as me, though. Don't be trying to replace. Don't be trying to go over there full time. Okay, you can go over there and visit. Y'all understand? You go over and visit his podcast. Okay, you come back home. You go and visit. You come back home. You go and stay for a little bit. Have a snack.
They don't have puppers. They don't have puppers.
Let me repeat this. Go when you visit over there, and then you come back. Visit. Okay, I ain't even say spend the night. You can't spend the night. Don't take no overnight bag over there.
No, I don't know that you would. No, I don't think you could. You know, you got to take Chad in doses, because he's a little live. I mean, he knows where the camera's at. He knows the camera. So Chad probably is much different off camera, but when he's on camera, he knows to be.
No, he's not.
He knows to be Ocho. He knows to be Ocho.
He's not different off camera. He is.
Yeah.
He is.
Well, since he knows him well, and this weekend, folks, on Big Noon Saturday, Fox, they're at the Bearcats for the Cincy game against Oklahoma, which I hope Cincy shows up for that. But yes, they are having the big show at the Bearcats home. So how about that for Bearcats fans, even though someone's wearing a Buckeye?
Well, because I was picking at Jim Jordan all day, so that's why I was wearing the Buckeye shirt. But if you do happen to watch the game on TV, you might see a girl in the background, because it is my oldest nephew's birthday weekend. So I will.
Wow, you're gonna be up at Bearcat?
He's gonna be dragging me all over the city because he has a list of things that evidently I don't remember agreeing to, but evidently I agreed to.
I thought you were gonna be there like in the back when they're doing at the Bearcats, and you know you'll have your Bearcat, your Cincy stuff, and
if I can.
Yeah, but you know,
always
you'd have to depart pretty quick because
here when
you know us. There's only so much people we can do. Peopling is in doses.
Yeah. So, but he did promise me Korean barbecue after the game, so I'm gonna stuff it out. I'm gonna tough it out for some Korean barbecue.
Korean barbecue and fries. Yeah. All
Yes.
right. That's yeah. Put that on your list. That's the plan.
So,
all right. That's all I got.
And as always, thank you all for joining. And please, please, please make sure you check out the links in the description of this video. And if you did not see Monday's Learning Through Black Literature, please make sure you check it out. Actually, next week there will be new merch coming.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
There
and
are a couple.
It's not a mugshot of anybody. No, we're not.
I'm not
this
paying.
Is legitimate stuff.
Yeah, when people were like, "Oh wait, we expected you," something told me to hold up and wait, and I'm glad that I did, because a lot of people who use those mugshots are now getting hit with fees. I'm not doing none of that. But because I tend to draw out a lot of stuff first or write everything out, I have to like transfer it over digitally the best that I can. But keep in mind, there is a short version, more commentary based podcast that's audio only on Spotify, so make sure you check that out. And there is a blog update, so make sure you check that out too. And if you don't follow me on TikTok, why not? I'm cute, I'm cuddly, I'm small,
and you're Sheldon.
I am very much Sheldon. I am very much so Sheldon.
Yes. Fun with highlighters. You never had that. That is you. Fun with highlighters.
What, dude?
Oh, wow. Cujo, aren't you? So
I guess
that doesn't look like an injured dog, Cujo.
Yeah, I guess we're ready to. Oh, you okay? Well, we didn't go potty before the podcast, so
right. Yeah, it's time.
Potty now.
It's time.
Bye,
everybody.
The show if you keep grabbing my arm.
Yeah, you're gonna get mauled. So let's say goodbye. Goodbye.
Each one. Jesus Christ.
Not each one lunge one.